This is the Word on the Street, coming to you live from Austin, Texas. This is Ramses, your host. It is May 13th, the year 2000, and Chael, as always, with me. Just a quick little behind-the-scenes introduction here. The producer, the co-host, is none other than Jake from the MMA podcast. Jake, what do you hear? What do you say? What's the bottom line?
Does anybody have a cold beer for Steve Austin?
Follow us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast. As always, it's a pleasure, Ramses.
We also have he'll come on later. We'll introduce him, but also on the line, just hanging out, just lounging around with us is none other than one of Louisiana's finest, Officer Alan. How you doing, Alan?
Doing wonderful, guys, and it's beautiful to be able to converse with you guys tonight.
You're damn right. And Ross, we'll bring you out a little bit later. I will reveal what happened at the end of last week's episode where you and I engaged in a real Russian roulette game live on the air. We each had our gun loaded. It went off, and that's how the show ended last week. But Ross, you are back. You are with us. Can I get a hell yeah? Not this time, huh? He's a little upset with me. Like I said, the gun went off. We'll get to that later. Our guests, as always, one of them's co-host. We'll call him a producer, a booker, but more importantly than that, he is a living legend. He is Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey from Team Sun. And how are you doing, Coach? Are you alive?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad I didn't have to follow up the intro with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would have been a hard one to beat, but it's good to be here, guys.
You're damn right, man. You can get a hell yeah for that, man. I'm bringing Stone Cold back, dude. 10 years later, it's happening. Our guest for tonight on the Word on the Street podcast, he is the grappling coach and gym manager for Xtreme Couture. He is none other than Mr. Eric Nicksick. Eric, how are you doing? Welcome to the Word on the Street.
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
It's an honor, man. Definitely, Coach Huey, of course, he vouches for you, I'm guessing. Coach, I noticed earlier, it seemed like you were down at Xtreme Couture earlier today. What's going on here? How do you know Mr. Eric Nicksick?
Just I'm subbing for one of the coaches down there right now, and Eric was cool enough to give me an opportunity to go down there and do that, and very much appreciative of that. And yeah, man, it's a legendary gym down there. I mean, I came from a Team Quest, who was Robert Follis, Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, and Matt Lindland, and to kind of come down and be able to help out here at the Xtreme Couture is kind of an off branch of what the old school Team Quest used to be, man. It's a legendary gym, man. So it's always an honor to be a part of something like that.
It is legendary. One of the it's a backbone of MMA. The Xtreme Couture gym, everyone knows it. Eric, how did you? The obvious intro question. Tell our audience, who are you and how did you get to be involved with the Xtreme Couture gym, which you are now managing?
Yeah, it actually kind of fell in my lap in a sense. I started at Randy's gym the day he opened. I was a college football player, and then after football, came out and was pursuing a career in the fire service. And I was testing for the fire department and kind of doing all my things there. But in the meantime, I was training over at the gym and ended up kind of falling under Dennis Davis's wing. And he took me under and really started training with him a lot every day, helping him get ready for fights. And in the meantime, I was going to school and pursuing that career. And tested and did really well on a couple of the fire tests. Made it. And went to my backgrounds, and I got in a big old fight in college that came up on there, and they dumped me from it. So after that, I just kind of decided to pursue more into coaching and staying on the MMA side of things. And about a year ago, John Hahn, the previous manager, he moved up to Seattle. So he asked me if it was something I'd be interested in taking over the gym, and I felt that there were some areas that I could help improve, and moreover, kind of bring the bridge back from the guys that left the team, the bad taste in the mouth from a lot of the guys that took off in the exodus of Xtreme Couture, and bring it back. And part of that was hiring and bringing on Coach Wallace. So kind of that's where we're at now with the gym. We're really bringing back a lot of good people and a lot of good product on the mat. Just like with Coach Jamie, you can find a lot of great coaches, but moreover, Coach Jamie came in as a great coach, but a great person. He's infectious. So right away, I wanted to try to find him a spot and get him on the mats and start coaching some of our guys as well.
Damn right, he's the living legend. That I don't say that lightly. The moniker did not come from nowhere. Eric,
Exactly.
it seems like we like there was a good story there that just got glanced over. Wait, you were in college and there was some sort of big fight? What?
Yeah, I went to University of Nevada, Reno for football, and I was up there for about 4 months. And instead of focusing on school and football like I was supposed to be, I was more focused on getting in trouble and women. So I got a little bit of trouble. Had to sit down with the AD, who was actually Coach Alt at the time. He was the AD, and kind of got some warnings on some stuff. And I didn't really abide to much of that, and got a big old fight in the dorms, and had a note on my door the next day to go see Coach. And showed up, and he said, "Hey man, I'm gonna send you home." So I decided to go out to Dixie Junior College. Played out there for 2 years and won 2 national championships, and came back home and really just was trying to find something to do to stay active and stay busy. And I saw Randy was opening up a gym, and I said, "Hey man, this looks like it'd be a good time." Just really came in with no wrestling, no boxing, no formal background, and just came in as an athlete and really started to take to the grappling aspect of things. And it was about a year or two after training under Dennis Davis and Vinny Magalesh and Neil Melanson and a couple other coaches we had there, mostly in Mike Pyle as well. A coaching position became available just out of necessity. So I picked up a class or two and started coaching that way, and then was able to build my class and build some of the up and coming amateur fighters, and kind of grew it that way. So I never got into the sport expecting to want to be a fighter or really even being a coach, and it really fell in my lap. Essentially, that's kind of where I ended up, how I got there, and why I'm there today.
Nice. And I do have to ask you about Xtreme Couture. I got to ask, Randy Couture, is it one of these things where like he's just the face, like the name on the front of the wall? I mean, like, is it one of these things where you've never even met the guy and he just, he's like some sort of silent backer, or is he actually, hands-on with his own gym or team? What's it like now?
He was there every day when he was fighting, and obviously he was in training camps and he was bleeding and sweating with the guys. And then when he decided to retire, and mind you, at the same time, the gym had kind of taken a downward turn. And what I mean by that was guys that Randy felt were his close friends, guys that he trusted, were gone, and they were leaving on this mass exodus. And he took offense to a lot of that stuff, in my opinion. I'm not speaking for him, but those are kind of my thoughts on things. And so maybe he lost a little bit of love of the training and being around the team and being there. And let's face it, the guy started off with a movie career. He's in and out. He's gone. So he had other things going on as well that were paying the bills for him, if you will. And so when I sat down with him and when he offered me the job, Randy and I are buds, and it's kind of one of those situations where he asked me, he talked about it, and I said, "Hey man, let's go grab a beer." That's what I want to sit down and I want to shoot the shit with you. And I asked him straight up. I said, "Randy, what do you want to do at this gym? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in LA Fitness and we just have a bunch of moms in here and doing cardio kickboxing, or do you want to go win some fucking world titles? Like, what do you want to do?" And he looks at me and he says, "Man, I want to bring the team back. I want to have some guys in there that can contend and bring back what we used to have in that luster of, we weren't just winning fights. I mean, we were demoralizing people. And that's what we wanted to bring back. We wanted, when you fought an Xtreme Couture guy, he was going to be on weight, he was going to be in shape, and he was going to beat the shit out of you. He was going to put on a show. So, with that said, I mean, the main guy that I wanted to go after was Coach Robert Follis. So, we had Dennis Davis there at the time. He didn't necessarily command the respect of the guys that were kind of leaving in and out, and Follis tied that all in. So once we got Follis back, I think Randy saw the room and saw what was coming back in the pro, and now he's in there quite a bit. He just coached a class with us 2 weeks ago. He was in and out of town, and he hit me up. He goes, "Hey, I want to come in and mess around." I go, "Why don't you come in and coach? How's that sound?" So he jumped in, and you guys can, I got some pictures, I think, on Twitter, and Randy in there tossing Bristol Maroon Day around, So, yeah, he's back in there, and that's big for us. Obviously the name on the building says a lot already, but it is. It's like you said, people think, like, hey, man, is it just a name? Is he just the backer of it? But no, he gives a shit. He wants to see his guys succeeding. So he goes to all the local events. He supports the amateur team guys. If he can, he'll corner you,
If he can, that's the obvious question that I want to ask. And as much as you can say, I understand, I'm going to ask you, this is the toughest question I'll ask you, but basically being from the Xtreme Couture gym, let's say you're coaching there and, for some reason or another, Mr. Dana White, president of the UFC, tries to walk into your gym tomorrow. Would he be welcome? We obviously know that, Dana and Randy Couture aren't getting along. So does that bleed down to you guys at the gym? Like, what is your opinion of the UFC and of Dana White and this feud in general?
No, absolutely not. And that's between Randy and Dana, in my opinion. And moreover, I kind of wish this thing would obviously get squashed, because it doesn't necessarily affect Randy. It affects us as coaches. It affects us as a team, because when you get a guy like Robert Follis who goes out and busts his ass with, Misha Tate and Evan Dunham and these guys he has at the gym, and we can't represent Xtreme Couture. We can't say fighting out of this camp. That hurts us all, So the beef between Randy and Dana, I wish it would just be over with. And I think Dana would understand if I can get him on a forum and just say, hey, look, man, you helped build this sport, and it's not hurting anyone but us as these coaches. So I wouldn't mind having him in the gym. We have Tough Enough or the UFC Countdown. They use our gym all the time. They come in and film anybody that's in the UFC. And at some point, somebody's like, well, why do you guys have him here? Well, I'm not going to piss him off more. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to tell him, come on in, and show him around and give him bottles of water and have a good time. Because I hope at some point that goes back and reciprocates from Dana and goes, hey, man, these guys are good dudes. Let's help them out on our end,
Yeah, to his credit, if I'm not mistaken, I'm assuming Randy's son Ryan Couture was part of the Xtreme Couture gym, correct? Is that where he was fighting out of?
Correct. He's actually fighting this weekend as well. Yes, he's been with us since day one.
Oh wow! I actually haven't kept track of him since. I'm assuming he's not fighting in the UFC, but they did allow him to, even when this feud was like, when it was hot, man, it was burning up, and it was revealed to the public that, Dana and Randy were cool. His son was still allowed to fight. Ryan was. I got to ask you, man, you being part of the Xtreme Couture gym, a lot of people were saying, with that last fight that Ryan had in the UFC against, I think it was Ross Pearson, a lot of people were thinking he was getting set up to be murdered or something as some sort of revenge. What did you think, man?
Well, yeah, and his last fight was actually against Ally Quinta. His first fight was against Ross, and a good friend of mine works for the UFC, Mike Mersch, and I would sit and talk with Mike about that. And he asked me, he sent me a text. He goes, "Hey, give me your top 5 guys for Ryan," and I sent him 5 names that obviously I thought my guy can win. And he writes me back and he says, "No softballs. This is the UFC. He's not going to get any softballs anymore." So. One of the names that Mike had said to me was Cerrone. So I was like, oh shit, his first fight's going to be Cowboy. It's going to be a tough road. So you got to remember, Ryan comes off of a very controversial win against KJ Noons, and so coming into the UFC, he had some momentum, and I could see them trying to market him. But to Dana's credit, Dana says to Ryan, hey, if you want out of this, if you don't want to be a part of the UFC, you can walk now. And I know, we have a beef with your father and everything else, but everything between you and me is okay. And I want to see you succeed. And Ryan said, yeah, I want to stay. This is the best organization on the planet. I'm going to stay and fight for you guys. Unfortunately, he had Ross Pearson his first fight. His second fight was supposed to be against Quinn Mulhern. Quinn Mulhern ended up getting hurt, and Ally Quinta stepped in and just, really put a beating down on Ryan. So that was his last fight in the UFC. And since he's gone on and won, I think he just won his last one in Battlegrounds, and he has another one in Battlegrounds MMA coming up here this weekend.
Yep, he won via, I'm looking at it right now, January 18th, Ryan Couture won via rear naked choke submission in the first round in Battlegrounds, Norman, Oklahoma. Nice. So yeah, good to see that he's back. He's still keeping it going. I do want to ask you, Eric, man, you coach grappling at Xtreme Couture, and it's both, you have an adult class and a kids class. I want to ask you about these kids, man. Because I saw that doing a little research, I saw that some of the kids you coach in grappling at the Xtreme Couture gym are as young as 4 years old, and that blows my mind. I don't, well, I guess now I have a kid that I didn't even know I had, Ross, but that's later on in the show. But I mean, I can't imagine what it's like being in charge of a gym class full of kids, some as young as 4 years old. I gotta ask you, man, aren't you kind of panicked? I mean, these are little kids, and you're teaching them grappling. I'm assuming some submissions are kind of taught. Aren't you ever, honestly, I know this question sounds ridiculous, but aren't you ever worried that some of these kids are 4 or 5 years old? They don't really know what they're doing. Aren't you afraid that maybe they'll accidentally hold the choke too long and, just one of them's all of a sudden just unconscious? Isn't it pretty dangerous to teach grappling to little kids? What's your opinion on it?
Well, the way I had it set up is when I took over the kids program was one class in a whole. So at 6 p.m. you can be it was from 4 years old to 12 years old, all on the same mat. And when I took over, I remember, I'm a dad myself. I have 2 little kids, and I thought to myself, I'm like, if I'm a parent, I don't want my 4-year-old even.
Sorry about that. We dropped Coach Jamie. Yeah, he got dropped off the call, so he's just joining us. But
I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back. No problem.
Continue with the dangers of the kids, because it's fascinating to me, man. I'd be so worried and panicked.
So essentially for me, I said that what we have to do is break this up into groups. So what I did was I brought in one of my fighters. He's a phenomenal wrestler. He's an up and coming fighter. He's 5-1 right now. He's actually fighting on the World Series of Fighting card coming up in June. But his name's Justin James. So I brought Justin on, and I said, Justin, we're going to split up this kids class, and the way I want it to be is from 4 to 7-year-olds are going to be your side of the kids, and I'm going to take the 8 to 12-year-olds, and I'm going to show them a little bit more advanced technique. Whereas for Justin, I want to show them basic wrestling stuff, basic submissions, but at the same time, he had an assistant to kind of monitor. So the parents felt, pretty comfortable in the fact that, there was a lot of eyes on the mats. They were separated, so it was kids with their own age or their own age group. But, like you said, it's hard because of the learning curve. So having kids that you can take a little bit more time with off to one side, and the kids that are ready to get rocking and rolling and are hitting those arm bars and hitting transitional triangles and all that fun stuff, they're over with me. And the kids that were just green as all can be and they need a little bit more time, sometimes we'll even put them in with the younger kids. So that we would actually see the class would start to grow and pick up into where, I kid you not, we would have 20 kids on each side, so 40 kids on the mats at one time. And then when I took over as the gym manager, Evan Dunham, of all people, comes to me and he's like, hey, I want to be a part of this program. He said, I think I can kind of build a gi program and I can build off with the no gi program. So Evan Dunham is now taking control of the kids program and has done a phenomenal job. It's gone even further than what I ever expected it to be. So with the kids and their safety and everything else, we're able to kind of monitor them with the number of assistant coaches that we have on the mat. And the main thing we teach them is how to tap. Hey, you're in a spot you feel uncomfortable or you feel like you're going to choke or pass out, hey, tap out. There's not a big deal to it. And you'll get your tears and you'll get some kids upset, but at the same time, man, it's building that competitive edge, and they're learning how to compete in there. And it starts at a young age now for these kids.
Have you ever had like a scary moment with these kids though, where you're like, oh no, this was not a good idea, or oh man, is little Johnny dead? Like any scary moments like that? Like, because I
No,
can't
actually,
believe that these little kids are learning to grapple.
we haven't, and knock on wood. I mean, the only time that I've ever had like, oh man, was we were actually playing I play a game like a freeze tag game where if a kid's frozen, the kids that are unfrozen, you have to go shoot a double leg and take them down. So there, it's kind of uncontrolled. The kids are just running rampant, and there you have kids that are just running into each other. That's the only time we've ever really seen an issue to where I was like, all right, this isn't that good of a game. Kids are taking each other's heads off here. So we changed the games up pretty good. But no, for the most part, I mean, submission wise, we're right on top of them the whole time, and usually we keep them in a tight group. And we're able to monitor him pretty well. So with Dunham's coaching, he has an assistant coach. Justin's coaching, he has an assistant coach. And at the same time, there's other fighters around, and there's guys in the mats, and we're able to kind of take care of those guys.
Awesome. And well, I got to ask you then. You're obviously an MMA fan. You're coaching grappling, so I'm assuming you're into the sport. You're into mixed martial arts, the fight game, the fight world. Obvious question is, and I mean, besides common sense, why? Well, have you given thought to fighting yourself? Why didn't you go through? Why didn't you take that route? Why are you a coach and not a fighter? I know Coach Jamie Huey has talked about this before, but what's your story?
Well, actually, for me, it was just because I was right in the middle of a pursuit for my career in the fire service when I really got into the sport. And I tested for 2 years. I got hired on in 2009 by North Las Vegas Fire Department. Went through everything, and by the time I got to backgrounds, I ended up getting dropped because of that fight. So, for me, I was on a pursuit for something else. And then by the time, I was advancing in the sport, but at the same time, it never was my focus. It never was what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to be a career firefighter and hold the badge. And now when that didn't come to fruition, it was kind of at a crossroads, and what can I do with my life? But moreover, I was looking at a lot of guys in the room that were up-and-coming fighters or guys that were just struggling fighters. And I saw their lifestyle and saw, it wasn't just lackluster, nice cars and fame. And those are the top 1% guys. And, these guys were struggling. They were struggling to find fights. They were struggling to make ends meet and have a living. And it just really didn't appeal to me, like what these guys are going through. So it was never the fact of, this is not what I want to do. It just really wasn't where I was in my life for a career. I have a wife, I have 2 kids, and my mindset was somewhere else. And by the time it was, do I want to do this? I didn't really feel I was too old. It just didn't feel like something I wanted to do at the time.
Yeah, why like it's a really, like, to pull the trigger on being a fighter, like you have to have like a certain amount of crazy to you actually in your life. But yeah, if you already have a wife and kid, like yeah, that's pretty much that's your reason. Like there's no further explanation needed for why you're not fighting other people professionally in a cage for a living. But I mean, where do you see yourself? You're the manager at one of the best gyms in the MMA world, Xtreme Couture. Where do you see yourself going from here? Do you have any plans, like maybe break off, open up your own gym? Possibly, are you working with specific fighters, or I mean, is this like is this really fulfilling to you being a coach?
I love it, and it's one of those things where you pinch yourself every day and you think, man, I'm getting paid to do this. I get to work with guys like Ray Sefo, and I was actually head coach for Ray Sefo's last MMA fight against Dave Huckabee. And yes, there's certainly areas that I like to pursue in the coaching field and just try to grow as a coach. And, I don't know everything, and I'm still trying to learn. And every day I show up to the gym, I learn something new. So I don't ever want to be the guy that, I think I know it all, because I don't. I'm very young in the sport, but, I remember saying to myself one time, like, I don't know a whole lot about kickboxing. And I remember looking over and seeing Ray, and I'm like, there's a 6-time world champ K1 kickboxer right there at my fingertips. How do I take advantage of that and just go learn more? And Ray's been one of my best friends, and I consider him like a big brother. I'm around the guy damn near every day. So having the likes of like Ray Sefo and Robert Fallis, there's always room for growth at Extreme Couture. And, the sky's the limit, I think, for us right now. Of course, one day I'd love to open my own gym and grow from there. But right now my focus is on my team and making sure that we have the best training partners, the best coaches in the facility, and we provide a good product when you guys see us hit the ring.
Hell yeah. Now, Ray Sefo, of course, the president of the World Series of Fighting. I believe that's the he's the president, right? Or is he like the owner?
That's right, yeah.
Commissioner? He's the president.
Correct, he's president.
Okay, so this guy is 43 years old. One of the coaches at Extreme Couture, for anybody that's just listening in, and still fighting MMA. Was this last fight of his actually in his own organization? Was that in the World Series of Fighting?
It was, yeah. He fought somewhat on short notice. Dave Huckabee, his opponent, had a guy pull out, and he said, "Hey, I'll take the fight." So he called me up and just said, "Hey, can you come in and work with me? I just need some bodies, So I went in just thinking that I'm going to go and shoot some double legs on him and try to take his ass down and get on top and ground and pound on him a little bit. And then we continued to work together. And about a week into the camp, he said, "Hey man, I want to make you the head guy. I want you to call the shots, and I want to work with you exclusively for this camp." And so there was a little hesitation there for me, obviously, because Ray's probably the biggest name I've ever worked with. And at the same time, obviously there was a lot of pressure because this was his organization. I want him to go out looking good.
Yeah.
And so what we did, he came into camp. I think he was 278 pounds, if I remember correctly, and we got him down to about, I think he was 256 the day he weighed in. So I mean, we trimmed him up. He looked so athletic. Right away, we started off with the leg kicks and a lot of up and down level changes where he actually shot in and took Huckabee down in the first round and ended the first round with the side control crucifix and was elbowing the shit out of Huckabee in the head. I mean, of all guys, like Ray Sefo shooting a double leg, and that's what he did. And so we kind of built on that. Unfortunately, Ray lost the fight, but after that, I told him, I looked at him in the locker room, like, this can't be your last fight, man. You're only getting better with age, And now you're starting to tie it in. And he's a connoisseur of the sport now. He's one of the most sought after striking coaches in the game. But moreover, now, I mean, he's growing his striking game into the wrestling side of things, into the grappling side. And so he's getting better as a coach and as a fighter. So, and he's able to start putting those things out on the floor now. I mean, Ray's in there once a week, twice a week. He's gloving up. He's sparring with the dudes. He's still, he's ornery as hell. But, he's a blast to have in the room. He's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he's the president of the World Series of Fighting, and he fought in his own organization. This guy is basically the Vince McMahon of MMA. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
it does a lot of great things for the gym, having Ray being a part of the team, because right away Ray gets to see the products we have in the room with the up and coming kids. So like on the last fight card for World Series of Fighting, we had 4 guys from Extreme Couture fight on that card, and we went 3-1. And so Ray's able to see how these guys train, what's their day-to-day life. And so, as a matter of fact, that's how we got Justin James on this next card up and coming. We talked to Ray and said, "Hey, this kid deserves a shot." Ray says, "All right, man, I see the kid every day. I see him buffing his ass. I see him training. Let's throw him on a card. I'll stand behind it." So having him there is very important for us.
Hell yeah, man. A lot of big names coming out of the Extreme Couture gym. Any big news that we should look out for? This is one of the last questions before we let you go. I am trying to keep myself short-winded now in interviews. I have a bad habit of just running too long, but Eric Nicksick, definitely appreciate your time. One of the last questions, what's going on? What's coming up in Extreme Couture? Who's fighting out of the gym? Anything crazy? Any promotions coming up? I mean, I know Coach Huey's doing a little sub in there. That's a that's worth paying attention to in and of itself. I gotta say. But man, anything you want to plug or tell us? Any news about the gym here?
No, I mean everything's on the up and up there, and I think moreover now, like we had Luke Rockhold in today, and he's looking around the gym and he's like shaking like shit, man, you guys got it going on in here, So guys are now kind of coming in, whether they're in from out of town, they're coming over just for a week. But guys are moving and picking up whether to move out to Vegas to be a part of our camp. Brian Caraway, Misha Tate, they moved here. Kevin Lee, now with the UFC. He moved out here to be with us. So, the list goes on and the team's growing, but at the same time, the team's growing with a common interest. We are a team. We work together to achieve a common goal. Everybody in there is there to help each other. It's not like what used to be in the heyday where guys are going in, gloving it up and just beating the shit out of each other. So for us, it's just a matter of just kind of keeping this forward momentum going. We're kind of lurking under the radar right now, and we're winning a lot of fights. We're 26-9 on the year right now. We're beating the shit out of people.
Damn. Shit, I didn't know that. That is pretty impressive. Xtreme Couture Gym.
And one of the things I was most impressed with, is the amount of talent that they have down there in the gym, but the emphasis on developing the guys that are coming through the door for the first time. I've really, I've been down here in Vegas for about a month, and walking into Xtreme Couture for the first time with Keith. I every single person I came through shook my hand, was very friendly. And I've really kind of kept an eye open, as far as what me and Coach Charlie did at Beaverton Powell for the last 15 years is develop fighters from the very beginning. The 8-year-old kids walking through the door that don't know how to act or be an athlete or fight. So you're kind of teaching them everything. And I'm seeing the same thing happen down here at Xtreme Couture. Really emphasis on developing. There's a lot of fighters that are out there running around that are looking for homes, good training camps, and it's always great to get your hands on a guy that is already at that level. But when you walk into a gym and there's a lot of attention being spent to the guys that are walking through the door for the first time, that are being developed to be into that next realm of talented fighters at that level. I mean, for me, that was a big part of me, really connecting with Eric and Couture the way I did, because that to me was one of the most impressive pieces of it.
Hell yeah. If Coach Jamie Huey's vouching for the Xtreme Couture Gym, I'm on board. That's signed, sealed, delivered, people. That's as good as it gets there. Eric, we will let you go. Thank you for your time. But before that, you got to let everybody know out there listening, where can they find you and contact you and possibly, I don't know, harass you? What's going on?
Well, I'm on Twitter. It's Eric _ my last name is Nicksick, Nicksick, and it's 10. So Eric Nicksick 10. Hit me up on Twitter, man. If you guys have any questions about the gym, or you want to harass me or get after me, man, I'm all for it. I love a little banter. But I wanted to thank you guys for having me on, man. I'm your guest anytime you guys need me. We'll chop it up about the gym or MMA. I'm always a fan. And Coach Jamie, love having you, bro. I'll see you soon. Appreciate it, brother.
Hell yeah. Eric Nicksick, we'll let you go. But thank you so much for your time, for coming on. Eric Nicksick, people, I'll tweet it out after the show here. But Eric _ Nicksick. Sorry, I called you Nicksick. Eric Nicksick 10 on Twitter. Xtreme Couture gym manager and grappling coach. Nice to know that, damn, they have an impressive record. They don't hate Dana White, and these kids are safe and they aren't killing each other. Eric, man, thank you so much. And you guys are doing the right thing, bringing in Coach Jamie Huey. Only good things will ever come out of that, man. And awesome. We will definitely have you back on soon, man. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a good night, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Yeah. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
There he goes, Eric Nicksick. I kept calling him Newsick for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. Eric Nicksick, Xtreme Couture Gym, brought to you. Another guest Brought to you exclusively, referenced by, vouched for by Coach Jamie the Living Legend Huey, who, if you're watching The Ultimate Fighter Brazil on UFC Fight Pass, you've seen him. I do have to ask him about it. I am watching it every week. Coach, but first, before that, Xtreme Couture, dude. Is this what was your experience? Was tonight your first your session with at that gym, or have you been there like all week or something?
Tonight was my first time actually running one of the classes. And then I've been there, more or less for the last couple of weeks, working exclusively with a couple of specific fighters, Keith Berry being one of those. So this was the first time actually running a class, and it was good, man. It was, there's a lot of guys, and there's a girl in the class that there's some talent, and then there was some fighters that were very green, that are learning. Honestly, man, I enjoy working with both. I love developing from the bottom, because sometimes, as a boxing coach, you end up spending 75% of your time breaking bad habits. But when you get somebody from the very beginning, you can kind of build your foundation off of that. And if they don't know anything, they don't have those bad habits. It's you don't have to break them if you can build them initially. But the Couture gym, for the most part, everybody in that class had very good fundamentals. So all the coaches down there are doing a phenomenal job of keeping everybody, keeping everybody practicing the right way and good body mechanics. So first night of running the class, it was a good time.
Coach, man, I know I'm pretty sure I asked you this. Maybe it was probably over a year ago, so the answer might have changed. But talking to Eric Nicksick, he coaches kids. You coach kids also in boxing from time to time. I've asked you this before, but I honestly don't remember the answer, and maybe it's changed since then. Like I said, these little kids, man. You're coaching them boxing, or what? You ever seen a little kid knock out another one? Or are their like bones too like rubbery and new, and their chins are so strong? Like, do these kids get knocked out ever in practice? What's the word on the street?
No, in amateur boxing specifically, kind of what we do over there at the Beaver Powell was, everything's about safety when you come to kids. Eric touched on it earlier when he was saying the thing they work on more than anything is practicing how to tap, and really that's an important piece of it, because safety is everything. In amateur boxing, we got headgear. Even if they're 8 years old and they weigh 55 pounds, they're sparring with 16-ounce gloves, and they got cup protectors on and headgear. So when it comes to kids, it's really just about keeping it fresh, keeping them motivated, keeping them laughing, keeping it fun, teaching correct fundamentals. But before any of that stuff, the emphasis is on safety.
Yeah, that's why I could never have kids, much less. I can't even babysit kids, man. I know. You hand me 2 kids, you bring them over, you're like, babysit these kids. Within 30 minutes, one of them's dead. Like, something's gonna happen. And then if you're actually like adding on top of that, you're training them in combat. It seems, that's why I'm fascinating with this. It seems like it's just asking for a disaster.
Here's what's interesting. I was kind of a distracted kid, and even kids with ADHD or they have a hard time focusing. Boxing, and this might have been kind of one of the reasons I was drawn to it, is a very in the moment type of a sport. You're not sitting in right field thinking maybe they're going to hit a ball out here, but probably not. So I'm going to chase butterflies from flower to flower. You know what I mean? Boxing is a very specific, like, awareness, focus, in the moment type of a sport. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'd get those kids down there and you're trying to teach them something, and then they kind of get glossy eyed and you start looking up at the ceiling. But when they get in there and they start sparring, there's no time for that. And I think it kind of develops that awareness in kids, even the ones that have a hard time focusing. When you're in there and you got gloves on and you're looking across the ring and there's a guy that's coming out to punch you in the face and you're going out there to punch him in the face, it's amazing how even the most distracted kids can really like tune in to the moment. So it's different. I do know what you're saying, but I think that I think it's a great sport for kids that have those focusing problems, because nothing will make you focus more than a guy trying to come after you. But again, the emphasis is on. Yeah, absolutely.
That is a good point. You never see anybody claiming I got attention deficit disorder when somebody's punching them in the face. That is,
you're pretty aware of it.
Yeah, man, you're gonna focus no matter what. That's the problem. I don't even believe in ADD, man. I don't believe in it. But that's not even a MMA related issue here. This is an MMA podcast here. Coach, I did want to ask you about the episode of The Ultimate Fighter here. Last one that aired Sunday, episode 10. I'll be damned if I can get these names right, but it was Jolie Son from Team Vanderlei versus Pezao.
Pezone.
Okay.
Bigfoot, basically, is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and like, wasn't that Vinny's Magalhaes' nickname as well? Like, that was a little weird.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That is Vinny's. That was his fighter nickname in Brazil back in the day. I don't know if it still is.
It's a good name to have.
Yeah, it got ripped off basically, but it was by.
Hey, it's like Sugar Ray. It's like Sugar Ray Robinson, and then came along Sugar Ray Leonard, and then Sugar Shane Mosley, and so yeah, good for Vinny. Vinny's creating a legacy. He's.
Yep, we got this friend Sugar Ray Thompson. Shout out to MMA Mental on Twitter. He's a good guy there. He recently, quick story, MMA Mental. Follow him on Twitter. Our buddy Ray, he was a co-host on the MMA podcast when we would do the roundtable discussion. He still does them, actually. But anyway, he's got his own show, his own podcast. He's interviewing people left and right. He's Ray from MMA Mental. He actually had his first MMA fight a few months ago. He lost over 70 pounds, like in months, just to do this fight. You could look it up on YouTube, Ray Thompson MMA. It was amazing, though, but that's neither here nor there. This guy, the fight, Pezao versus Jolie Son, man. Anybody that hasn't watched it, sorry, spoilers, you got to be watching Tough Brazil. I'm sorry, that's the bottom line. Basically, another win for Team Sonnen. Pezone, he brought it. In the middle of the fight, though, there was something odd that happened. Jolie Son from Team Vanderlei, he's like, stop the fight. The ref stops the fight. He breaks it up real quick. Jolie Son is saying that Pezone bit him on the finger. He's holding it up, and he's claiming he's calling the fight. He's like, he's disqualified. The fight's over. While he's laying there holding up his finger, which is barely bleeding. The docs check it out and then just walk away from him. And the ref is like, stand up, quit putting your fingers in his mouth. And then he tells him to fight on. Pezone ends up whooping his ass into the decision, man. You were there. How bad was this finger bite? Did you even witness it? Was this even real? This guy was obviously, wasn't he just looking for a way out at that point? Was he getting his ass whooped? You were there.
It was kind of weird. Somebody had brought up that if you had looked up Jolie Son's record, that there were his last two fights, or the 2 fights within his last 5 fights, whatever it was, where there was a disqualification.
No.
So, and so our question was, okay, was he looking for a way out? I actually cornered Jolie Son to get into the tough house.
Yeah.
And he went out and I could tell he was a little nervous, like a lot of fighters would be. But he went out there and he did his thing and he beat the guy single-handedly to get in the tough house. But the finger thing, kind of, we we didn't really know what happened initially to get in the tough house. When Marmoto fought a guy, I can't remember his name, to get in, he threw a kick and he dislocated the guy's finger. And obviously Marmoto won, basically based on the guy not being able to continue. So when that had happened with Jollyson and Pazone, we thought, well, maybe that was the same situation, was, maybe jammed up his finger, it's dislocated, and and then he started claiming that he bit him, and we were all kind of like, what are you talking about? You bit him. Well, I think what happened was, Jollyson, landed on his back, Pazone went down to land some strikes, and Jollyson probably, had his hand out there, his finger went in his mouth. It wasn't intentional, and obviously the referee knew that, and that's why it was ruled, get up and continue. But, I don't know if Jollyson was specifically looking for a way out, or if it was a situation where, he felt like he bit him, but he didn't. It was kind of a weird deal. It really threw us all off at the time. We were all left kind of scratching our heads, and we weren't really sure what was happening. But Pazone went out there and he did his thing and he won the fight, and that evened it up, man. That was big for us because initially we were down 0-4 going into into the show. We were down 4 fights, and Vanderlei was walking around and they were confident. They're had their chest out, and the dumb Americans come down here and they suck and they can't win fights. So we came back and we swept 4 in a row, and we evened it up at 4-4. And that was huge for us, man. That was huge for us. So
it's a damn rock.
Yeah, it was a big thing. You could see some of the pictures I posted on Facebook or on Instagram and Twitter. We just gave each other a bath with the TNT energy drink after the fights were over. We were so excited.
Yeah, got that, man. And it doesn't even, I did want to say this one thing. Can you even, if this dude's wearing a mouthpiece, how is is it even possible to bite someone and draw blood off their finger wearing a mouthpiece? Like, I don't know.
If he has a top mouthpiece on and not on the bottom, and maybe you scrape your finger on the bottom of a tooth, I guess. I honestly don't remember Pazone if he had a full mouthpiece or if he had just the half top. I really don't know, but I'm going to assume he only had the top because, Jolly-Son's finger did have some blood on it. So I don't know how you would scrape your finger on a mouthpiece, and so it was kind of a weird deal, man. It really was.
Yeah, that was a weird moment, but I mean, I'll say it, dude. The dude was looking for a way out. Come on, you're holding up a finger, insisting that the other person be disqualified. Right there on the face of it, that tells you all you need to know. But what are you gonna do? Another win for Team Sunny. You're damn right. Biggest comeback in tough history that I know of, at least. So yeah, of course it's Team Sunnin. No surprise there. I did want to ask before we, of course, and I'm kind of sticking to a shorter show here. I am kind of keeping my word, but Coach Huey, all right, on this upcoming card, supposedly Sunnin's gonna fight Vanderlei Silva. What is it, UFC 175 or something? I don't know when. But this guy from Team Sunnin Brazil, Bomba, is apparently going to get a chance to fight in the UFC, and he's going to fight on this card. I believe, despite what they've shown us in Tough Brazil, I think he lost his fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bomba, yeah,
he had a fight with Demente, which if people are watching up as of right now, he's one of the guys in the semifinals. Bomba had a great fight with him. I thought it should have went to a third round, but they gave Demente two rounds, and it didn't go to a third. I thought it was a terrible decision. I thought Bomba, Demente's a very strong guy.
Yeah.
It was a great fight, potentially maybe fight of the fight of the season. With maybe the exception of the fight that Warley Alves had to get in the house. That was probably up until the point of the show that everybody's watching now, because obviously I can't talk about anything else that happens. But Warley's fight to get in the house was just amazing. He fought the number one, number two guy. I think we talked about this last week, but Bomba's fight was just like right there, man. And it was a barn burner. So, I didn't think, I thought it should have went 3, but I'm ecstatic that Bomba's getting an opportunity to fight UFC 175.
That's what I got to ask you, man. Where did this heat come from? This is rare a little bit. How does Bomba have enough heat to be in the UFC despite a loss on Tough? What's the word on the street? What's really going on here with this Bomba? Like,
he's that good, man. He's that
people
good.
Just Chael vouch for him.
Chael brought him over from Brazil specifically to help Chael train for the Vanderlei fight. Yeah, Bomba's amazing. He's a black belt. His striking is freaking phenomenal. He's a whole package, and that speaks to how good Demente was for making it a close 2 rounds too. But Bomba's just he's the guy. He's just he's going to be very successful. I'm excited. That card is stacked. I mean, not only do we have Chael on that card, we have our friend Chris Camozzi fighting on that card, Uriah Hall fighting on that card, and Bomba's fighting on that card. So I couldn't be more excited about it. And Bomba's a great guy. I'm going to actually fly back up to Portland Friday. He's up there training with Chael for this, and up at Mike Pearson's gym, Rose City Fight Club. And so he's getting sharp with those guys, and I'm excited, man. I go up and see these guys. Maybe I, hold mitts for Bomba and spend a little time with him, man. He's just a good dude. He's one of my favorite guys on our team. No question.
Drill his boxing, and then drill some English, and then let's get him on the show, man. This Bomba.
He actually has. You know what? That's a great idea. He has good English too.
Yeah, he's pretty active on Twitter. I've noticed that.
Yeah. Let me see about that. Maybe I can get him on next Tuesday's podcast.
Yeah, and like I actually, I wasn't bullshitting. I learned Portuguese slowly over the past 2 years, but then I heard that Tough Brazil was going down with Chael Sonnen, Team Sonnen. So I actually did brush up. I understand it well. I would sound, borderline retarded trying to speak it to somebody fluently. But I mean, if we could, there's some sort of middle ground. Let's get Bomba on, even if it's awkward as hell. It can't be any more awkward than, like, say, the podcast I wanted to do with Okami would have been. I mean, damn.
Yeah, that one would have been hard.
yeah, but it would have been hilarious, though.
Yeah,
just because it would have been so preposterous.
Fusion would have been good. No, Bomba's actually got good English, man. He's got good English. So, let me hit him up when I get up there. I'll get up into Portland Friday. So as soon as I see him, I'll hit him up for that. He's a good dude, man. He's, like I said, he's one of my favorite guys on our team. So he'd be a great interview.
Hell yeah! And before we let you go, Coach, I don't even. Damn, I'll be damned if I remember. Who's Uriah Hall gonna fight on the same card as Chael Sonnen?
Oh man, I don't know. He's fighting a Brazilian guy.
Jake, Ross, anybody? Trivia Masters? Nobody, huh?
Nobody.
It's like a vet.
He's fighting a Brazilian guy. Yeah,
he's fighting Thiago Santos.
There you go.
Santos.
The guy's aggressive. The guy's got some tools. So Uriah's going to have to show up. But Uriah's. When Uriah Hall shows up, man, there's not another human being on the face of the earth that'll beat him. He just has to show up. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah, man, give him a call. Tell him to give us a call sometime. Get back on the word in the street, but most importantly, beat some old advice into him. He needs to be reminded from time to time where he's coming from. Team Sun and Team Dark Side, of course. Stone Cold says what? But yeah, Coach Huey, man, you're working nonstop pretty much, man.
What?
Last question, do you ever see yourself taking some time off? I mean, damn, it seems like since what 3 years now. It's just been one camp after another, one new fighter after another, one airplane after another. Man, how long can you keep this up? Are you getting sick of it, or do you love this lifestyle?
Honestly, it's been, we opened the Beaverton Powell boxing gym up 14, 15 years ago. And, the last few years, obviously, working with the guys that are making the news stories. But, before that, it was still flying to Great Falls, Montana for the regional silver gloves, and flying here for the junior golden gloves, and here for the golden gloves, and here for the invitational this. And I mean, it's been a busy 15 years, man, but I honestly, I just feel so lucky and fortunate to be doing this. Kel had a good way of putting it. He says, we don't have to do this. We get to do this. And I feel the exact same. I mean, I'm here, I'm there. But I couldn't be more excited about what I do. I was a lineman for the cable company for 15 years, and talk about a grind. That's hard work.
Yeah.
Getting up every single morning, going to work, climbing phone poles in the rain, putting on your boots and gassing up like that was work. This to me is, this is like a pleasure. This is an honor. Like, I'm getting to do what I love. So I'm willing to do more of it. Like, I'm still very young and ambitious in this sport, and I just really want to see where I can take it. I'm taking Keith Berry down to a old school legendary boxing gym, Johnny Toko's, down in North Las Vegas. And anybody knows about Johnny Toko's, or even Google it, and you can read the history of this place. I mean, this place has been around since the early 50s, and it is a complete, like, you picture Rocky going into that old school boxing gym with Apollo Creed in Philadelphia, where you walk in and
Nice.
you know what I mean? It's masonry bricks, and it's just, everything's duct taped, and it's, blood on the floor. That's Johnny Toko. So, taking him down and getting that experience with him down there with former world champions, Mike the Body Snatcher McCollum, and some of these legends of boxing. For me, this stuff never gets old, man. I can't get enough of it.
Hopefully you won't, man. Yeah, the cable company, man. That's got to be weird. Last question, I swear. Do you know how to rig up like one of those, like, do you know how to give someone free pay-per-view in all the channels?
That back when it was analog, there was guys that could open the Zenith wood grain cable boxes, and you could actually solder some stuff in there. I saw a guy do it once.
A guy.
15 years ago. Yeah. So I heard. I read it in the magazine. But with the way digital works now, I don't know if there's somebody out there doing it. They're a whole lot smarter than me. For every one guy that's out there that's fixing the stuff, there's 10 guys out there that are trying to find a way around it.
Yep,
so I imagine there's probably somebody that's got something going on, but nothing that I've heard of.
Hell yeah, man. Screw all that nonsense. You're in the fight game now, man, and that's where you are the best, excelling, and happiest. So yeah, man, it's happy endings for Coach Jamie Huey. I mean, I'm hoping you live forever. I'm just saying, if you were to unfortunately die tomorrow, like maybe Ross might, my bastard son, you would at least have lived a good one. I'm hoping.
Absolutely. I feel very fortunate. Yep.
Can I ask Coach something really quick, Ramses?
Of course.
I saw recently on the tweeters, it's looking like you might be in Vegas over July 4th weekend, Coach.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
That is going to be awesome. I'm going to be there. Actually, myself, Alan, Ross, Hunter, and Yao are all going to be splitting the same hotel room, so it should be a lot of fun. But
very cool.
Alan wanted me to ask if you can check how much it would be for Alan and Yao to go train for a week or a day or a couple days at Xtreme Couture during Expo Week, if that's possible.
Absolutely, yeah. Anybody that wants to get in on any of this, I'm going up to Oregon Friday. I'll be up there for a few weeks. I've actually Chris Folsom will be fighting on a local card up there at the Seven Feathers Casino. So I'll be up there to help Chris out for a little while. Then I'll be back down in Vegas, most likely full time, but I might kind of jump back between Vegas and Portland to see what's going on. I'm loving it down here. The weather and everything is just amazing. Anybody that's listening that wants to get in on that, man, hit me up on Twitter at Coach Jamie Huey, and we'll definitely put it together. We'll make it happen for you guys.
Cool. Yeah, we're planning, I think, on being there for a while. That July 4th weekend, we're getting in, I think, Tuesday afternoon. We aren't leaving until Monday morning, and we're trying to plan out the rematch of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match between Yao the Truth and the Westland Eagle, Alan Hamilton. So maybe we can make it work.
They've got, Couture's got a full-size boxing gym, it's got tons of floor space. They've got 3 octagons, big octagons. So yeah, definitely. If you guys want to come down, and we'll get with Nick, with Eric and these guys, and maybe come down, do something in one of the cages. You guys want to film it, however, stream it, and whatever you guys want to do, I'm sure we can work it out.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
This rematch is much anticipated. It will be streamed live somehow. The Yao versus Officer Allen rematch. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll hype it up in a second. But Coach, you were saying, yes, how can people just, we will let you go. Thank you for your time as always. How can people get in touch with you, contact you? What's going on this week? If someone wants to learn how to box somebody half to death, where are they going this week? What's happening?
You can email me, Coach Jamie Huey, or wait, what the hell is my email? Coach Jamie Huey at gmail.com.
Yeah.
My website is www.coachjamiehuey.com. Instagram and Twitter are both at coachjamiehuey.com. I try to keep the at Coach Jamie Huey brand, so it's easy to find me in different places. So hit me up on any of those mediums, and we'll definitely put something together. It'd be fun.
There it is, people. Hopefully when the Allen versus Yao rematch gets closer, we'll try to somehow involve you more and more into this ridiculousness, Coach. But it is the most anticipated rematch in the history of the Word on the Street podcast, and that's saying a lot. It's gonna blow up.
Saying a lot.
Yeah, the first fight, was knocked out for a split second. He claims he was faking it, and then I don't know if you ever seen it, Coach. Alan, he gasses out or something, and then
I do remember them tweeting it. Yeah,
it won't happen this time because I'm doing 6 different. We started doing wrestling yesterday. I'm training with one of the guys that was with the American Top Team with Dustin Poirier's camp. He's our head coach. So.
Yeah, and we saw you whoop
pressure, brother. Yeah, pressure breaks pipes.
Yep, and we saw Officer Allen whoop his brother's ass on concrete live on Ustream the other day. That was interesting, but we'll get to all that. But Coach, definitely everyone at Coach Jamie Huey on Twitter, CoachJamieHuey.com. This and that, trust me, just follow this guy. The best in the business, hands down, no doubt. Coach Huey, Team Darkside, tough. Team Sun in Brazil 3. Check it out on Fight Pass. Thank you for coming on, Coach. Hopefully we'll see you we'll talk to you in about a week here. We'll get more stone cold bottom lines out of you, man. But I appreciate every second of your time as always.
Anytime, fellas. Thanks.
All right. Yep. You have a good
Yeah.
night, Coach Huey. We'll talk to you soon here.
All right.
All right. See you later, Coach. And there he goes, people, leaving us here on the Word on the Street podcast with Jake from the MMA podcast, my co-host and producer.
What?
We do have Officer Allen. You heard him. He's back. Yeah. We tried to get a hold of Yao and the Ninja. But to tell you the truth, man, Yao's in a bad spot. We might as well cover this right now, people, because it's time.
Should I go ahead and dig up the final moments of last night's Word on the Street, just in case anyone was not around to hear what all went down?
Yeah, for anybody listening, yes, let's go ahead and play the ending of last week's show, the podcast. This very show, it things got out of control. I'll admit that. All right. I revealed that none other than Ross Finkelstein was my bastard son. All right. 20 years ago, I think that's how long ago it was. It's hard times. 20 years ago, I made the mistake of, there's this woman, Rose Finkelstein. I met her. I was 10 to 12 years old, depending on the math at the time. She did, I don't like to use the term rape, but
oh my God.
She made herself pregnant using my body, and I didn't think I could get a woman pregnant, to tell you the truth, and just be candid here. But like I said, man, the seed took hold. And now 20 years later, here's my bastard son, Ross Finkelstein, calling me out, making life a damn nightmare, injecting himself into this very podcast. He'll join us in 1 second here, because guess what, people? Last week's episode, I challenged him to a live game of Russian roulette on the air, live. Real guns, me versus him on the podcast, streaming live. We were taking turns pulling the trigger against our own skulls. And it ended shockingly.
I have the
loud.
clip ready,
Jake,
if you want me to play it and let him hear how it ended.
Let's play it, people. This is the ending of last week's show before I reveal to you what actually happened on the Word on the Street. Go for it, Jake. But this is it, people. This is the end of the show right now. Here it is. I'm about to pull the trigger. Let's see if it takes me out, man. Fuck it. Fuck you, Ross, my bastard son. Here we go. I'm cranking it up. I'm pulling the trigger. Fuck it. There you go. I believe nothing happened. I survived. Your turn, Ross. You want to back out like you were Vanderlei Silva at a tough soccer coaches challenge. Looks like Ross is thinking about this.
Let's do this. I have to end you.
Pull it.
Oh my God, Ross, no!
Oh, shit. That was the shocking cliffhanger ending last week on the show, and I apologize, man. When I heard that gun go off, I immediately texted, faxed Jake. I was like, take us off the air, and he did, man, immediately.
My fax machine was blowing up.
Yeah, man, I'm just glad you got that. Last time we want to hear, I was assuming it would be my bastard son, Ross, gasping for breath, his lungs filling up with blood. Well, I guess he shot himself in the head, so that wouldn't exactly happen. I don't know. I've never killed anybody that I know of, and I'm sticking to that. I don't know, Alan. You probably shot a few people, but anyway, Ross. I thought he was dead. All right, the show ended. I was like, pull the plug. Jake pulled us off the plug. He's one of the best producers in the underground MMA podcast world on Twitter. One of the best, top 10 at least. He did pull us off the air. I thought Ross was dead. He was presumed dead, but lo and behold, he miraculously survives, because of course he's still got those checks coming from me month to month still, despite the fact that he's over the age of 18 to my knowledge. I know, I'm done supporting this kid. I thought
And
it was
that's
the
the
end.
bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah, but he didn't end up blowing his own brains off live on the air. It turns out the gun misfired. He pulled the trigger, but he was too much of a coward. He claims it was shaking in his hand. He ends up shooting somebody a block away. None other than my Yao the Truth. Follow him on Twitter, by the way. I sponsor him. He's an amateur. He's about to be an amateur MMA fighter, BJJ champion, Muay Thai fighter. I sponsor him, man. I'm his manager. Lo and behold, Yao, it's kind of, it's a little bit ironic. Yao was the one who actually, gave the gun to Ross. Ends up getting shot with his own gun by accident. It was a misfire. Yao is, of course, okay. He's in the hospital. He was shot in the leg. We were hoping to get him on the show tonight, but he's too fucked up or something. I don't know. They got him on painkillers. He's in the hospital. It was him that got shot at the end of the last show. So, I guess he'll want his stupid music cued. Ross Finkelstein survived. He is back. He is going to defend his trivia title here on the Word on the Street podcast. He is on the phone now, joining us live. My bastard son, Ross Finkelstein, you're not dead. You son of a bitch. Welcome to the show. What do you have to say? You're going to take on Jake for the title tonight in trivia. You son of a bitch.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you know who I am, you know why I'm here, and you're happy to hear my voice. I am the best Jew in the business. I am the Word on the Street podcast world champion. I am Ross Finkelstein. You know where to find me on Twitter too, at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. You see tonight I take on Jake. This is number 1 versus number 2. Last week, I was fed a can. I was fed the absolute worst person to ever step foot in the trivia circuit. That is Ramses. Ramses absolutely sucked, and I told you I would destroy you, and I did. And I even cut a promo match because you suck that badly. But tonight I face someone who's a better opponent, someone who can actually challenge me, someone who actually might be able to get a point on, maybe. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter how many points Jake wants to try to score, no matter how many questions Ramses asks, no matter how many fighters we go through, I will stand tall. I will have the Word on the Street podcast world championship, and then I will drop a pipe bomb that nobody will ever forget.
You son of a bitch, pony boy. And yes, I would know that you're a son of a bitch. I would know that personally, Ross. But fair is fair. I'm willing to fulfill my role as the host here and, acting commissioner of the Word.
Are we talking MMA or just doing straight to the damn trivia?
We're going to go, you know what? Now that we have everybody on board, there are a couple news topics. Before we get to a couple quick trivia questions for you people to listen to, see if Ross can defend his title or not. And yes, there is some news that I actually did want to cover, some program notes here. A lot of people, hundreds of people are listening to each new episode. So we got a lot of new listeners, people that haven't been following along, have no
We
idea
had-
what's going on.
Yeah, we had 350,000 downloads on iTunes last week.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I honestly don't know myself, having no iPhone, and I got a problem with Apple, but apparently this show and your show, Jake, are on iTunes. How can people actually access that or look it up if they don't know a damn thing about phones or this and that or technology? Like, how would you break that down to someone like me?
Super easy. One of two ways. You either can go on iTunes and just search for podcasts, search for the MMA podcast, and the MMA podcast, the MMA Roundtable, and the Word on the Street are all uploaded literally like seconds after we go off of the air. The first thing I'm doing is editing, saving. I make sure we throw that shit up immediately. You can listen to it on iTunes, like I said, by searching the MMA podcast, or just search or just visiting the MMApodcast.com, clicking the iTunes tab up at the top, and there will be a link to take you straight to the page. And as always, you can listen to us on the YouTube. Just search Word on the Street or the MMA Podcast. It should come up. Word on the Street MMA, maybe. We're tweeting out links all the fucking time, and I'm not that funny, but Ramses, you literally have one of my fucking favorite Twitters. You're fucking cracking me up all day. So you can follow us on Twitter, the MMA Podcast, the Aunt Jimmy Show. We're always tweeting out the links to listen live on Xtreme. Download it on iTunes. Coach Jamie Huey, also a solid follow. We are inundating you with the damn podcast, ladies.
I've always wanted to ask, man, and no, thank you. The Twitter is the Aunt Jimmy Show. I haven't changed that yet. I might eventually. I don't even fucking know. But yes, the Twitter thing, man. Yeah, you have to. It's like the movie Training Day, where Ethan Hawke is explaining to Denzel that he's figured out the streets. You have to control your smiles and cries. On Twitter, you definitely want to be laughing your ass off and having nothing but smiles. If you're tweeting out depressing shit,
oh my
Twitter,
god,
there's something. I'm just saying, you're doing it wrong. You're doing life wrong if that's where you're at. But I do appreciate that. And I did have a question, Jake, about the the iTunes shit. I did download iTunes one time just to do a search and see how hard or easy it was to find our shit. And I noticed that some of the numbers and ratings and viewers or whatever the fuck I forget the exact word they use on iTunes for ratings. Some of them will be high, some of them will be nothing. For some reason, like a 2-minute fight tip I do will be like ranked popular, and then like an interview that you guys did where it was just like a round table will like have even more views, be popular. Do you have any way of knowing why certain ones are just blowing out others? Like, how does that even happen? You know what I'm asking?
I've spoken with the head analyst at the headquarters of the MMApodcast.com, and the way he put it, it just kind of goes country by country. Sort of like the MMA Roundtable, extremely popular in China. Literally, I think it's like the second biggest show in China. And the fight tips are super, like everyone in Europe listens to the fight tips, so it sort of goes country by country. I mean, we hit, I think we just released the 89th episode of the MMA podcast, and Word on the Street 108. I think combined through all of those and the clips and the MMA roundtables, I think we're close to hitting 400 billion total downloads. So the fluctuations, it's really difficult to keep track with who's listening to who and all that. So I just sit at home.
It's been a while, dude.
Do a bunch of blow with all the billions we've earned.
Exactly, and no lie ever, like on this show, people straight up. I'm not gonna pretend like me and Jake aren't fucking wealthy off of this shit. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend. Of course we are. Jake, Jesus, he doesn't even work.
No.
All
I
right.
also got to mention tonight's sponsor, Nike. Just do it.
Yep. Shout out to them and Coca-Cola. Both great
Oh, yeah.
companies. We use them all the time or whatever. But yeah, check the damn place out on iTunes, wherever the show is. It doesn't matter at this point. But that was another topic that I wanted to get to. The underdogs that I. This is me opening up the newspaper. The underdogs that I bet on at the last UFC event Saturday capitalized on. I had a parlay going. I had 2 parlays going. All right, people. Zach Cummings and who was the other guy? Was it Max Holloway? Yeah, I think it was Holloway.
Darren Cruikshank?
Oh, Cruikshank. That's right. That's right. Yeah, Max Holloway also cashed for me, but that was another week or whatever. Cruikshank paid off big time. The parlay, it was ridiculous. The odds were like almost 20-1. I bet heavily Cummings, Cruikshank. They were both at least 3 to 5-1 underdogs, depending on where you were betting. Bottom line, the news this week is I'm rich. All right, so I'm now wealthy. I don't even have to do this anymore. I don't even have to be on. I don't even have to do this podcast anymore. All right.
Join the club.
I mean, made enough money. I mean, in case you didn't even notice, I'm so rich, I'm just laying back, not even doing the intro to the show anymore. It's pre-recorded. Right? I got computers doing that shit. That's how rich I am. All right.
Word on the street.
But of course, that means nothing to me. Money means nothing to me. It never has. But good for Jake that he's doing well. What in the name of God were we even talking about?
I don't know, man. I think both of us are a little too high to be the pilot and the co-pilot of this podcast right now.
As soon as Coach Jamie Huey hung up, I hit the weed like this.
Yeah, I popped a couple mollies, injected a shitload of steroids.
That's what happened, people. But yeah, so I won all this money on the underdogs. We'll talk about their actual fights, which were impressive. Cruikshank, Cummings. And of course, I had my second parlay was Cruikshank, Cummings, and Matt Brown winning. I was like, let's get real crazy. Let's say Matt Brown was some ass. And I even put that parlay down. But at that point, I was so rich, like the money I won off the Matt Brown, Cruikshank, Cummings parlay. I mean, at that point, if Bill Gates trips and $100 falls out of his pocket, it costs him more money to shine his shoes than it does to pick up the money. You've all heard that saying. But in my fervor, my celebration at having become newly rich, I did make a mistake that I now regret, and we'll get to this a little bit in a couple minutes here. But I did, I was like, I'm rich. Fuck it. I don't need to do this show anymore. Fuck the Word in the Street podcast. I did put it up on the stock market, and an anonymous investor, an anonymous backer, bought 51% of the podcast, bought 51% of this company, of the Word in the Street, the controlling interest share. He bought 51% completely just out from under me on the market, legally fair and square. He is the controlling owner. That's the thing. He bought it. You can apparently do it anonymously through a consortium, and but I pulled some strings because I'm rich too. Fuck it. He will reveal himself in a couple minutes. He said he was going to call into tonight's show.
Nice.
Yeah, he's going to call into the show and just reveal that who he is, why he bought the show, what's going to happen from here. He is the owner. I mean, he could overrule me in anything that happens here. He's more than the general manager. He's the new CEO, the CEO. He's everything. He's the owner, the president.
You aren't the Vince McMahon anymore? What the fuck is going on?
Someone's trying to take it away from me, Jake. But don't worry. We'll get to that in a little bit. But let's talk about a couple of actual legitimate pieces of MMA news. The card, I thought it whooped ass. All right. And I do want to just talk to you guys about the matches that I actually won and can celebrate. Zach Cummings, Team Sun and Fighter, underdog. almost 4-1. Whoops that ass in a decision. Anybody else is Zach Cummings fan? He's been on this very show. You guys have talked to him, I'm sure. What did you guys think of his fucking fight? He was getting his ass whooped. He lost round 1. He made a comeback. I don't know if you guys remember or not. Did you guys even give a shit? Or am I just talking to myself?
I don't think he lost round 1. Even though Silva did rock him with that body shot, tried to sink in an RNC. I think Brown won the first round because he landed some shots. I mean, it was two totally different fights. The first 2.5 minutes were Silva just wrecking Brown, owning him with a body shot, and almost getting a sub in, which we all know almost all of Matt Brown's losses are by submission. Brown recovers, and after that point, it was a totally different fight. Matt Brown, I mean, sans another couple of body shots that made him wince a little bit, and Matt Brown completely owned the fight. Probably had he landed so many power punches, and you really got to speak to the heart and the chin of Eric Silva. I don't know how strong that chin is going to be after the Kim knockout and now the Brown knockout, because Brown landed, I want to say, 15 different shots that could have ended another fight. I mean, he landed so many punches that you literally could see really rocked Silva. Our boy Yao, who isn't on the call, was pointing out how he was sort of turned off by the amount of damage Silva took. But Matt Brown is a motherfucker, dude. I enjoyed the shit out of that fight. Fight of the year so far. Fuck it.
You definitely seem pumped since I was asking about the Cummings fight, but let's talk about the Matt Brown versus Eric Silva fight. Why the hell not? Who are we joking, man? You guys aren't obviously Zach Cummings fans. I guess it's just me. I guess I'm the only one that gives a damn about Zach Cummings. Yes, he did miss weight, but he put on that epic Facebook rant. Didn't you read that yourself, Jake? And I can't believe you. I mean, come on. What'd you think of his fight? At least give him that. At least give him your breakdown or opinion. You can't just pretend like you didn't hear what I was asking you the first time. You can't do that to Zach Cummings, Jake.
Yo, I will break that down, but I kind of want to hear if Ross and Allen are still around. I want to hear what they've got to say about the main event. That was fucking barn burner, dude.
Oh, Christ. All right, yeah. I almost forgot about my bastard son. Ross Finkelstein, you're on the Word in the Street podcast. What did you think of the Matt Brown versus Eric Silva fight? He's 29 years old, Eric Silva. I thought he was 20. I thought he was like 21, 22. Turns out he's almost 30. He's 4-4 in the UFC. What did you think of this fight, man? Break it down for us, please. You son of a bitch.
You see, about 10 years ago, when I was 8, I came home from camp, and there was a little puppy waiting for me.
Yeah.
His name was Levi. I love this dog. He's a little Cairn Terrier. You see, I did everything with this dog. This dog became my best friend. You see, you have something you love so deeply. You have it, and then one day, it turns its back on you. You see, that dog, it bit me one day, and it bit me again, and it bit me again. And suddenly the dog that I loved, the dog that I thought was my best friend, is gone. And so I sit and I wonder, why? And then I remember I do this for a reason. I do this because of people like Jake. And tonight, I'm gonna kill you, Jake. kill me. Follow the buzzards.
Ross, you son of a bitch, bastard son of mine. What the hell are you even talking about? Alan, you're on the Word in the Street podcast. Eric Silva versus Matthew Brown. What did you think of the fight? No bullshit.
If Eric Silva, the goddamn Brazilian piece of shit that he is, couldn't beat a motherfucking tough-ass South Korean named Young Kim, then how the fuck did they expect him to beat Matt Brown, a red-blooded fucking American? A man that bleeds red, white, and blue. A man that came from the bottom, clawed his way to the top, was 12-11, and now he's about to get a motherfucking title shot.
Not bad. I, for one, think at 29 years old, Eric Silva, man, 4-4 in the UFC. All right, yeah, you were the king of the jungle or whatever the hell that was called. But now it's like, man, I've seen you get knocked out horribly twice, like within the last year. Something is not right here. Something's not. It's like, damn, man, I think Joe Silva's trying to kill you.
This is the third big test Silva's gotten. The UFC has given him big tests in John Fitch, Dong Young Kim, and Matt Brown, and he's failed all of them. And I hear he's traveling to America to start training soon. So maybe that actually helps because he is 29. He's young. I hope the UFC doesn't cut him, even though they cut Shields, who I think would grapple the shit out of Silva. I don't know. Maybe the UFC gives him one last chance, but I want to say the next time this guy takes a loss in the UFC axes him.
I think if he gets horribly knocked out, they might do that, but I don't think they'll cut him. The difference between him and Jake Shields is like Jake Shields wasn't fucking winning fight of the night. All right, Eric Silva. It's always exciting watching him fight.
It's actually very true.
It's always exciting watching Eric Silva put his brain on the line.
Silva's
$1,000.
Silva's last 6 fights, five of them he got bonuses. He got submission of the night for the wins against Brenneman and Jason High, performance of the night for TKOing Sato, and the fight of the night for his fights against Brown and Fitch. So you actually make a great point in that Eric Silva can put on a show.
Yeah, they'll keep him around for a while. I mean, another horrible knockout, and of course, the UFC is doing this thing where there isn't even a knockout of the night bonus anymore because they're trying to PG it up. It's basically knockout of the night. It's equal to saying concussion of the night. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with them on not just claiming it outright, but at the same time on Fox Sports 1 or maybe it was 2, I don't even fucking remember. They did air the 2014 Ultimate Knockouts on that channel, which is basically, to me, being real again, it would be like putting on a show called the 2014 UFC Concussions Best Of. I mean, honestly, that's what we're saying. And I love it, though. I'll watch it. These people signed up for that. Eric Silva signed up for this. I hope he doesn't get cut. He's not a boring fighter. But yeah, again, justice for Sato. Sato was illegally kicked in the head repeatedly by Eric Silva in that Billy Goat maneuver. And then he was beaten unmercifully. He was battered and broken and humiliated in Brazil, Sato was. But it was illegal. Even Dana White even admitted that. Officer Allen, man. I mean, is it? You love your Japanese fighters. Do you agree, man? Is Sato even Japanese? I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Takanori Sato, yes, he's Japanese, and yes, Eric Silva, along with the rest of Brazil, except for a few people like Vinny, are sacks of shit, and they will do whatever they can to win. And he's a cheater, and he got what he deserved.
Well, I don't know. He got a win that time. But yeah, this time Matt Brown whooped his ass, destroyed him.
He got a win there, but now his career is over. It's done.
They'll keep him around, like I'm saying. He has at least 1 to 2 more UFC fights.
Yeah, and Hung Q Lim's going to get the next shot at him, and he's going to get brutally knocked out again. And like I said, it's over. Kiss it goodbye.
Hung Yu Lim. Who the fuck is that, man? See, Alan has like some crazy knowledge of Japanese MMA fighters for some reason, man. He's in deep on that shit, man. I'll never understand it since they don't do too good in the UFC, man. Actually, real quick, man, before we move on, Alan, why is it that they don't? Why do Japanese fighters come over to the UFC and then all of a sudden, when it's not fake, like they're losing all the time?
Ramses, if you want to really break it down, you're saying Japanese fighters, and we're talking about Korean fighters. Hung Yu Lim, Dong Kyung Kim.
You're playing semantics.
These are guys who have winning records in the UFC. Dong Kyung Kim. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at Kyoji Horiguchi. You're trying to make the distinction of pride guys that come over to the UFC and don't do too well. If you bring Asian fighters from our generation over, they do plenty well. It's the pride guys. So let's make that distinction since you want to play semantics. It's pride versus our generation.
All right, fair enough. What else was on that card worth mentioning? It's Night of the Underdogs taking over. Oh, yeah, Crookshank. Come on, we got to give him his props. People, he was another almost 4-1 underdog, depending on where you were betting. I made a lot of money off of Darren Crookshank, whooping some ass, getting the knockout on Eric Kane. Jake, man.
Eric Koch.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, Eric Kane, man, he was everybody thought he was going to whoop ass, but Crookshank, of course, our boy. We've talked to him before. Shit, isn't he the most frequent guest you ever had from the UFC, or is someone talking?
Yeah, we've had sort of like Kelvin is on this show.
I'm talking about the MMA podcast.
Yeah. I'm saying Darren is our version of that. We've had him on more than any other fighter. What'd
you think, man?
He ran into walls earlier in his career in 2013 when he fought John McDessie and when he fought Adriano Martins. But I mean, beating Eric Koch, it really shows he's not only furthering his striking every single fight, but his game plans. He's going in with are fucking awesome. This is 2 head kick TKOs in a row. The dude is an absolute monster. And even Dana White said at the presser, his next fight is going to be a stiff test. He's probably going to fight, a top 10, top 15 ranked guy next. And goddamn, the Detroit superstar is shining, ladies and gentlemen.
I see that you two suffer, Jake, from the same, I don't know if it's shock, post-traumatic stress that I do. You said it was 2 head kick knockouts in a row for Darren, and I would like to believe that myself. But there was a bout in the middle of these. It was the fight that was so ridiculous, so over the top, so mind-blowing to me, personally. I couldn't even believe it was happening. I still refused to accept the fact that it happened. It was Crookshank versus my Thug Jitsu master, Yves Edwards. Blew my mind. I've only seen the fight twice.
Split decision win for Crookshank.
Yeah, I refuse to. I mean, I will watch it. If it's scary, man. It's like solving the Hellraiser puzzle box to me, man. You got to be in a special mood to go there. Darren Crookshank versus Yves Edwards, man. Holy shit. Watch that fight again. But yeah, that is the problem with Crookshank, man. You're right about that. He does hit the wall. He refuses. It's like he's loaded up with ammo, He's got those guns loaded and cocked and ready, but he won't pull the trigger in some fights for some reason. He had that going on a few times. But this time he let it go, man. And of course he destroyed Eric Cocaine, man. He ripped him in half. It was preposterous. It was exactly what I was hoping for and betting on happening. Made me a lot of damn money. Darren Cruikshank, man. The Detroit Jesus Christ or whatever his nickname is. One of the best in the MMA business.
And let's also throw out there that he has a very, very high fondness for cats.
The Michigan Muhammad, that's his nickname. Yeah, and he loves cats, man. Follow him on Twitter, Cruikshank_155, or maybe Cruikshank150. Yeah, how many Cruikshanks are on there? Fucking Twitter people. Look him up. Alan and Ross, whichever one of you wants to speak. I do want to keep. This man is a friend of mine. Darren and me go back, man. RoboCop came out of Detroit. So did Darren. And Cars. What did you guys think? Anybody have any opinion on that? Or did you think Eric Koch was really going to whoop his ass, dude? Because I didn't believe it for 1 second, man. Darren Cruikshank pulled
Let's all be honest. Eric Koch was murdered whenever he fought Dustin Poirier. Louisiana native, shout out to Dustin Poirier. And his career, Eric Koch's career now is on the decline after facing the buzzsaw known as the Diamond. So, yeah, I knew he was going to lose. Plus, Darren's a fucking amazing fighter. So, that's all I have to say.
Congratulations to Mr. Cruikshank. Definitely. Moving on. MMA news. What's the big scandal coming out lately? Boss Rutan says John Jones is a dirty-ass fighter. Joe Rogan, Sol Paleli versus Jared Rosholt. Someone got injured. Who cares? Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen approved to fight by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which isn't exactly news. They've never been denied, except for, when Chael Sonnen was arrested, but that was a misunderstanding.
Did anyone listen to the Joe Rogan fight companion show that went along with the fight night? That was one of my favorite podcasts ever, dude. I had it like perfectly synced up, and
with the fights live.
Damn, Rogan and Callan and Schaub fucking drinking, watching the fights. Like that was a hell of a podcast. I loved it.
Wait, break it down for people that have no idea what the hell you're talking.
The Joe Rogan podcast, actually, they had their 500th episode today. I'll probably listen to that sometime later tonight or tomorrow. But it is a very sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. A very popular throat. Jesus Christ. I injected a shitload of heroin and steroids. The Molly. Oh my God.
The wheels are falling off.
Joe Rogan does a very popular podcast. He has a ton of people on, comics, celebrities, MMA fighters. He recently had Tim Kennedy. It's an excellent show. And for the first time, he did a fight companion podcast along with the fight night this past Saturday. It was him, his buddy Brian Callen, and UFC heavyweight Brendan Schaub. And all of them were talking about the knockouts. It was cool because we know Rogan from doing the formal commentary on pay-per-views and fight nights, and it was cool sort of seeing, the standard UFC announcer in a casual setting, like doing a little bit of commentating. It was hilarious. Every time someone got knocked out, he did the same exact "oh!" when someone gets fucking rocked, which I sort of thought that was a part of the show, and that was like a bit of showmanship, like each time he screams during a knockout. But every single time, whether it was Cruikshank, whether it was Brown rocking him, we heard so many "oh!" Like
he's that dude,
just
he's
going
that dude
crazy.
Watching the fight, man. He's always that guy.
I love it, man.
He loves it. He loves it, man. That was totally cool. I was syncing that up with my live viewing as well. Joe Rogan live podcast doing commentating. which
That's great.
yeah, it was awesome. At the end of it, he did declare that it was more fun than doing the live UFC gig, and I believe he quit his job. But he was high, and it was a good night of fights or whatever. He might have been joking. He is a comedian, but I mean, shit, man, it ain't no coincidence, man. 2 weeks ago, they started making Joe wear suits for his UFC gig, and now he's quitting. Makes sense to me.
Actually, it's kind of a decent topic because we can talk about who he should fight next at middleweight.
Joe?
But did you listen to the episode with Tim Kennedy, fellow Austinite?
I did, man. I don't recognize Tim Kennedy as an Austinite. I'm sorry. He claims Austin.
Dude, that guy is so cool. He's fucking funny. He's an Army Ranger. He's killed a ton of people and like manages to still be a decent human. I don't know. That was the one with Kennedy and the one with the fights. Those honestly were maybe two of my favorite shows he's ever done. Kennedy's awesome.
Yeah, he's Tim Kennedy. I respect what he's done for this country. His fight record speaks for itself.
It's very good. He almost beat Jacare.
Yeah.
No, he did beat Jacare. Fuck that.
Exactly. Yeah, the decision Jacare got was generous to say the least. I actually agree with you, Alan. I think Kennedy did beat Jacare in a decision. He's 18-4. Sort of pulled a Barao, lost his first fight of his career actually to Scott Smith, who we would later know from Strikeforce fame. Lost again early in his career to Mayhem Miller when Miller was just on top of his grappling game. Lost to Jacare in a fight a lot of people think Kennedy won, and lost to Luke Rockhold. But he's
That was pretty dominant.
He is over a decade into his career, and I still think he is getting better and better. I mean, the Kennedy that beat Michael Bisping, I don't think would lose to Luke Rockhold. I think Rockhold Kennedy, if they made the rematch, which they may actually make it soon, it's going to be really close. Rockhold definitely won a one-sided fight the first time around. I think Kennedy would make it way closer than the first time. Kennedy's awesome. And he is an Austinite, damn it.
You're trolling, dude. No, he claims Austin, but let's face it, he spends most of his time in New Mexico. All right, look, and shit, how do I say this? Look, Tim Kennedy, he's always welcome on the show anytime he wants. But there's a story here that you guys don't even know. And someday I'll tell it. I'll tell you the truth about my relationship with Mr. Tim Kennedy.
What?
My interactions with him.
What?
But not tonight, not here, and not now. Just need to say I respect his record. It speaks for itself. I wish him nothing but the best. But even if I didn't know or have any personal interactions with Mr. Tim Kennedy, I do have to say that Bisping fight was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. In my entire life, but especially in my adult life,
He almost had his career ended.
it was terrible, and that sums up pretty much every.
Talk about the man I saw backstage.
Every Tim Kennedy fight that anybody has ever seen. It was terrible. All right. Nobody's going to buy a Tim Kennedy pay-per-view. I'm sorry. This shit was on free TV, and I still want my money back. Anyway, moving on from Tim Kennedy. What the hell were we even talking about before that? See, that's
the card. UFC. We went from the UFC card to the Rogan fight companion show to Rogan having Kennedy on because I really enjoyed that episode.
Right. Rogan doing the live commentary along with the show airing live the UFC event was awesome. But you gotta wonder, man, did John Anik and Kenny Florin feel like maybe Rogan was bitch slapping them? Perhaps. I don't know. I felt a little guilty listening to the Rogan podcast and turning down Anakin Florian on the volume on the other screen. You know, I did that. And then who else was it? Brendan Schaub and the other, that bald guy from Where'd My Car Go in Vegas or whatever that
Mad
movie
TV.
is. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, The Hangover, yeah.
Yeah,
Callan.
whatever that was. Yeah. Dude, The Hangover in Vegas, man. Yeah, he was in the one movie, and all of a sudden, he's a superstar. No, man. But it was fun. I hope they continue with the UFC podcast, MMA commentary podcast. But they made Joe Rogan put on a damn suit, man, a suit and tie, and then 2 weeks later, he's quitting the show. That's all I'm saying. You heard it here first, people. What else we got on the goddamn headlines here before?
Yo, I was gonna say Eddie Alvarez out of the Bellator pay-per-view. Bellator's keeping it a pay-per-view, moving Rampage and King Mo. Dude, like, I don't like Bellator, but at a certain point you have to feel sorry for them. Because last time around, they tried to do a pay-per-view. Tito got fucking hurt. Like, the fight got canceled. They can't. They should have kept the pay-per-view that time around, because in my opinion, Chandler Alvarez 2 was the fight of 2013. That was an amazing fucking fight. They scrapped that pay-per-view. This is going to be the pay-per-view. They're keeping it a pay-per-view. Will Brooks subbing in for Eddie Alvarez at the last moment. He's going to be fighting Michael Chandler. Rampage versus King Mo. And all I'm seeing on Twitter is people talking about how they've sold no seats, how they're going to get no pay-per-view buys. I am looking forward to the fights, but I'm very interested to see how Bellator's first pay-per-view goes.
Yep, and I like Bellator, man, definitely. But this is like watching something terrible happen with these pay-per-views to them, man. It's not even bad luck. This is like, it's like, if you know, like, we all have that, just some girl that we know in our personal lives, just some bitch, man. Think about high school, just some bitch. Maybe she was some ugly bitch, she was some fat bitch, I don't know. We've all known just some woman that we did not like. And this is the equivalent of hearing that her wedding day got rained on and rained out twice in a row. Like, even you would feel bad for this bitch at this point. And I'm a Bellator fan. I mean, I watch it and whatever. I like the storylines. I like the fact that it's more clearly sports entertainment. Like, the works are more obvious. The showdowns, the competitions, the everybody cutting promos. Like, it's more obvious than the UFC. So I like that. I like the openness of Bellator, man, because, you know, if you've really followed the Word on the Street podcast, you know that I think it's pretty much all work. You would have to. It's sports entertainment. It's all about making the big bucks, promoting the sport, and in order to do so, you have to, of course, arrange it for the biggest money fights to happen. Even Mike Straka has admitted that much, but I take it a step further. I point out exactly how they're doing it, and all of a sudden, I'm the crazy guy. I'm the Alex Jones conspiracy theorist. But yeah, Bellator, they're a little bit more obvious about it. You know, it's like watching TNA instead of Raw. That's what I would liken it to for any wrestling fans out there, if you're even out there, man. They're probably all on the show, to tell you the truth. But yeah, Bellator, man. Bad luck. What do you guys think, Alan and Ross, man? I mean, shit. Is it bad luck? Is it poor planning? Are they banking too much? Are their cards too weak? They don't have the star power. Is this all a work? Is it sabotage by the UFC, as some people have claimed and speculated? Maybe the UFC slipped Alvarez 51 grand instead of the 50 he was going to get paid. And all of a sudden he's like, all right, fuck you, Bellator. We're rubbing you out like you were Eric Bischoff. Alan, man, Bellator, dude. You've been at their shows, haven't you? What's going on? Are these guys just are they just getting bad beats? Or do you think, man, this thing ain't ever going to take off?
I'll have to pass it to Ross because I haven't been to any of their shows. I was going to go to this show since it's only 5 hours away, but my only reason for going is
have you ever seen Bellator?
Yes, I watch Bellator every single time it comes on TV.
I like how Cops airs after it, man. Have you ever been on Cops?
No, I haven't been on Cops.
Yo, Alan didn't want to watch Cops in Vegas because he said he gets too much of it at work.
That's true. It's like, yeah.
When you
I
deal
hear
with
that.
the schwoogies on the street, you don't want to bring them home to the bedroom.
You're damn right. And we will get to the match coming up between Alan and Yao the Truth. The rematch that is coming up in Vegas. Is June or July?
Dude,
July?
That's fucking awesome, Coach. Coach Huey sounds really serious about giving us either a mat or shit. It would actually be really funny if an octagon was available and they let us do it in an octagon.
Dude,
Fucking
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where was the match, like, supposedly originally? What were you guys planning on? Because I know Coach
It was gonna
Huey,
happen
and
at
now
a
I know
UFC gym.
Eric Nicksick, man. We can make this happen at the UFC gym.
Yeah, I guarantee you that they'll. I mean, mat space is easily available. So
Yeah, but
at
this is
least
gonna be. It's got to be live streamed, man. This has got to be all the way. You guys, no interference.
Yo, as much as I absolutely hate the Jew is going to be in Vegas. He's going to be taking care of all of the shit as far as streaming. It's going to be me, the hype man, Ross, the promoter, Ramses, the manager, Allen versus Yao. Hunter may even step in for a quick bout. Who the fuck knows? Vegas is going to be crazy. Honestly, if you're listening and you can get to Las Vegas July 4th weekend, this includes you, Ramses, you son of a bitch. You gotta come. That week is going to be fun as fuck.
If I show up, you guys will never see it coming. You'll just hear
Dude,
the
that would
intro
be
music play.
so crazy. I would be so hyped up.
I'll come out like Vince McMahon, dude.
And don't worry about bringing any of the green medicine because I'll be driving from Colorado. Cough, cough. I definitely won't have anything there for you, Ramses.
Hell yeah, man. I feel what you're spraying. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Alan, actually, when is the rematch scheduled between you and Yao? And if you could break it down 15 to 20 seconds, what happened in the first fight? For people that are just now listening for the first time and haven't heard this shit, you're going to rematch Yao, the fighter that I manage. But what happened in the first fight?
So basically, me and Yao put on a barn burner back and forth. It was, it's pretty even. And Yao shot for a double leg, and I stuffed it and knocked him out. And I thought the match was over. I mean, normally that's what happens when somebody gets concussed and knocked out, unconscious. They rule the match, over, declare the person who's still conscious the winner. And, I figured I'd get my hand raised. And, I wasn't paying attention. And the ref never, I was looking at the ref, checking on Yao. And all of a sudden, Yao jumps on my back and, takes my back when I'm, not even prepared anymore. I thought the match was over with. So there's a bit of confusion, controversy. But you can watch the video for yourself and judge it because it's clear as day.
So basically, you took down Yao, knocked him out. Anybody wants to see the video, just look up Yao versus Yao Allen fight. And I'm sure, how many other have there been? Look that up on YouTube. Yao Allen fight, and Yao is spelled YAO. You'll see in this match, it's a back and forth. It's supposedly a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, gi. But yeah, man, it looks like Yao actually gets knocked out, but Yao is claiming that he was playing a Louisiana possum and that he was faking it. Yao does come back to life like he was Jason from Friday the 13th. And then all of a sudden, like an energy vampire, you see Officer Allen, his strength is drained from him. He gasses. It was weird. What are you doing to prevent that from happening again, Officer Allen? You're going to rematch Yao, the person that I manage, and I promise I will not reveal any of your strategy to him or broadcast this. What are you going to do differently, man? You gassed out and he tapped you.
Yeah, you'll just have to wait till July and find out. I got a big surprise.
We will be doing a countdown show. We will be doing another pre-fight press conference. We will be doing a weigh-in. We are going to be doing the shit out of this. This is a very serious match.
And let me take a moment to make something clear, because obviously it doesn't seem like it's sunk in. The very first time that me and Yao faced off, we agreed upon a set weight, and Yao didn't make that weight. He got lucky because we had to switch promotions, and he was able to survive by a half of a pound. This time, it's all or nothing. Yao makes weight, or we don't fight. There ain't no debate about it. There's no crying. Yao's got to make it.
Well, he's gonna have a fucking tough time in making weight, since my bastard son Ross Finkelstein accidentally shot him last week. Yeah, I was in trouble. He's laid up in the hospital, and you're talking about him making weight. This man has been shot.
Ramses, I will go to Yao's hospital room while he is in bed, and I will beat the shit out of him if that is what needs to be done. I won't wait till Vegas. I'll fly to New York. I'll get on a plane tomorrow.
You'll
Don't
beat
test
him
me.
in his own hospital bed like you were stone cold, beating up Vince McMahon in critical condition. My God.
What?
And we would try to contact Yao, but he's laid up in the goddamn hospital right now. He's a bullet in his leg. He was shot by my bastard son's gun. Ross, man, hopefully you're still there. Jesus.
What?
You have to stream. I know we have our differences, but you have to be the one to control and stream this match here in Vegas, the rematch between Yao and Allen, Officer Allen, man. It's got to be an online stream. We'll all carry it. We'll broadcast it. It'll be the biggest rematch since Metamoris, Eddie Bravo versus Old Man Gracie. Speaking of, shout out to our co-host, The Ninja. Was hoping he'd be on tonight to speak a little bit about the efforts that we're making right now at this moment. People, you got to check it out. Actually, Jake,
and I'll be the
hopefully
first
has
to
the
tell
link.
you that I'm not against hitting women.
Yeah,
Yo, honestly, I'm gonna say the same thing on tomorrow's show. We are doing a fundraiser for our buddy Ninja. Just look at our Twitters and you will find a link for it. Fund anything, fundraiser for the Gracie Ninja. And I'm gonna put it bluntly. Ninja was going through some really hard times and was thinking about taking his own life. And a man from Abu Dhabi, as Ninja said, reached out to him, and it was Renzo Gracie. And Renzo inspired him so much that our buddy Ninja decided to dedicate his life to training BJJ and owning his own gym and turning into a coach. And because of that, he's changing his last name to Gracie. And honestly, I'm not gonna BS. A lot of people sent me DMs, tweeted at me, saying this is fucking ridiculous. And it is. A lot of things in our life are fucking ridiculous. The fact that most of us have a smartphone that can look up any fact in the fucking world within a split second, just at our fucking fingertips, that is ridiculous. The fact that anyone in the world can listen to this podcast is ridiculous. And you know what? The guy was inspired so much by Renzo that he, I have talked to him multiple times, and the guy's attitude has made such a 180. He's so fucking positive. Today, he's tweeting out I was feeling shitty today, and then I realized when I was having these, super shitty thoughts about my life sucks. Well, actually, really, only my day sucks, and actually, really, only a few hours sucked. Life is good, and Henzo Gracie is the fucking man. And you know what? The fact that he's been so inspired and turned his life around so much, it only makes fucking sense that he wants to change his name to Gracie. It's gonna cost him $200. And that's money. Like I said, he's going through hard times. Who the fuck of us haven't gone through hard times? He can't make the money. He's asked Henzo for so much. He hates to ask him for fucking cash. So we're doing a fund anything. Whether you want to throw in a buck, $5, whatever, it is for a guy that I can personally vouch and guarantee is an awesome dude. And you know what? It's something I'm really glad we're able to help a buddy of ours. I'm
You're
done
damn
ranting.
right. No, check it out, the FundMe. What is it? GoFundMe.com?
Yeah, let me search the link. Fund
Yeah.
anything. Hold on.
Yeah, you look that up, and let me just tell people. Like, basically,
Yeah.
our friend, the Ninja, I don't know, this is the 15-second summary. This dude was literally going to end his life until it was saved. And I don't care how nuts it is, how crazy it is. It's like, what? This is ridiculous. But 100% guarantee you, if it weren't for Henzo Gracie and just his kindness, his taking the time out of his day to give a shit about somebody, the Ninja would be dead right now. He'd be dead if it weren't for Henzo Gracie. So yeah, Ninja, man, he's turned his life around. He was on hard times, but he's been talking to a guy that is actually a coach, not only in life and martial arts, and it's changed the Ninja's life. Now he doesn't want to fucking die. That's the bottom line. And out of some measure of weird respect that he wants to pay to Henzo Gracie, this guy, Ninja, he wants to change his last name to Gracie. And let me tell you, one of the reasons why he also wants to change his name to Gracie is because Ninja was adopted. His last name, I won't give it out right now, but we'll have him on the show. He'll be back. But his last name wasn't even his real last name because he was adopted. It was just made up. It was literally just written on a piece of paper. So that's why he doesn't have any problem changing it to something that actually means something to him. And he wants to change it to Gracie. And God damn it, if you ever seen Coming to America, that movie, if a man wants to call himself Muhammad Ali, God damn it, this is America. It's a free country. He has a right to change his name to Muhammad Ali. All right. Yeah, his mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. No, man. He's an American. And yeah, Henzo Gracie, man. Holy shit. It's not a work what you're hearing about him being one of the best guys in shit, man. He made one phone call to Chael Sonnen. You never heard Chael Sonnen talk shit about Brazil ever again. That's the bottom line. Henzo Gracie is the real deal. He deserves that respect. And here it is in front of my eyes. I know for a fact he saved a friend of mine's life. He never asked for a damn thing. So yeah, why not? We'll raise it $200 to get the Ninja's name changed to Gracie. I swear we'll do it. I swear on this podcast that I don't even own outright anymore. But
Dude, why did you sell 51%? For real, this is is Fox News gonna take over? Is fucking Rupert Murdoch gonna call up and be like, okay, the word on the street is now you guys just talking about Republicans being awesome?
Somebody took advantage of me, man. I was in ecstasy at having become suddenly rich over betting on Cruikshank and Zach Cummings. That cashed. And then when the parlay with Matt Brown cashed on top of that, and I knew even my grandchildren would be set for life, yeah, I put the show on sale. I fucking did it, man. but I regret it now, but it's too late. All right. I mean, a deal's a fucking deal. Well, God only knows he's going to call in any minute. God only knows who actually bought this podcast. But whatever, I'll respect whatever's going on with him, man. Whoever he is, he played by the rules. He is in charge. He is the new general manager, COO, CEO, owner, president, controlling share interest, owner, backer, investor, mystery man. We'll find out who he is in a couple minutes, hopefully. Call in a couple minutes, man.
Yeah, because we got some fucking trivia to get to tonight, don't we?
Damn right we do. Just to make sure, one more around the Hornswoggle, just to make sure we didn't forget any crazy MMA topics that people are just going to set us on fire if we don't address. I can't think of a damn thing. GSP is going to be in the new Kickboxer. That movie's going to stink. Let's be honest. EA Sports, that UFC game's coming out in about 34 days. I
actually picked up a PS4 last night. The only game I got was MLB The Show. Yeah, I bought a PS4 last night.
Hell yeah, man. I got mine on the 1st of May, I believe. It's badass. The controller has a touchpad on it.
What is your name? I'll fucking add you. The second
Hornswoggle MMA.
Hornswoggle MMA.
No, it's not that. I'm sorry. I just had to. It's Christ, what the fuck is it? It's Ramses. Shit.
Ramses. Shit.
Damn. I'll have to get back to you on that one. It's got my real name in it somewhere. Which, by the way, people, anybody
probably don't want to let these plebeians know too much about it. I mean,
I'll put it all out there.
I watched the UFC from a fucking T-Rex complete skeleton, just sitting on the back of it in a saddle. I don't want to let these fucking lower class plebeians know anything about my personal life.
Oh, but if I actually knew my PS4 handle offhand, I would give it out
here,
right now.
You heathens, you pathetic inbreds. I am going to speak now. I am telling you right now, I have sat here. I have waited.
Ross.
I have waited for a very, very long time. I've cut promos. I've said some bad things. I've said some good things. I've been introduced, and we have interviewed people already. We've talked about mixed martial arts topics, and people are sick of listening to you idiots speak. So why don't we just get this going? Why don't we just get to the trivia so I can beat down Jake, and then you can have your stupid little investor reveal who he is, and maybe I'll punch him out too. But let's get this shit going. I'm tired here.
You know what, Ross? Usually I don't. I wouldn't even pay you any mind, but you are here. You have survived the Russian roulette match from last week. I thought for sure you were dead. I was hoping that you were dead. But here you are, defending your title on the Word in the Street podcast trivia challenge. You are up against Jake. You are right. Let's fucking get to it already. Let's do it. We might as well. And again, yes, even though you are my son, I regret everything that happened with me and your mother, Rose. I'm sorry that the seed did take hold. She told me she was fixed like a dog. Here we go. Jake from the MMA podcast taking on Ross Finkelstein. Officer Allen will be reffing this match here. Might as well give him something to do here. It is a trivia contest. Usually it's guess that fighter. I start naming facts about a certain UFC fighter. It has to be a UFC fighter, someone that has fought in the UFC. And first to guess it wins the point, but I might
first to 3 points wins, and we gotta chime in with our names instead of just blurting out the fighters.
Right, three pinfall win. I might have one round just be a who's got it UFC trivia question that I just think of off the top of my crazy head. Because guess what? This is, at least right now, until we reveal the new owner, this is still my show.
What?
So let's fucking do this, people. Right now, Jake versus my bastard son Ross. Guess the fuck.
Listen, how many times do I need to fucking tell you? I'm ready. I've got nothing to say, Jake. You don't need to play my music. Fucking speak. Let's get going.
You're damn right. Trivia. Title match.
Soak it in, people. Your boy Ross Finkelstein has been the champion for 9 months. We took a lot of time off. Yeah, it was sort of him being champ nine months, all off a loophole because we didn't do any trivia. He didn't defend his title a single time during that 9 months. So let's just push that 9 months aside. Ross has been champ for about 2 weeks. And earlier in the show, Ross said he crushed a can last week. He's right. He says it's number 1 versus number 2 this week. He's also right. But where he's wrong, he called himself number 1. Ross, you're number 2. You're always going to be number 2. I'm number 1. You've had the belt for a long time. Listen to that. My phone's fucking ringing. The bitches are calling me. But I'm focused on this trivia competition. I've done a shitload of heroin tonight. Like literally a liter's worth of heroin injected straight into my veins. I did a bunch of steroids, Somali. I'm pumped up. I'm fucking ready. Ross Finkelstein, you've been the champion for 9 months. You're going to be the champ for about another 9 minutes. Enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah, right. Jake from the MMA podcast taking this shit on, taking you on Ross. He is full of black tar heroin. That's the worst kind. Here we go. Guess the fighter, people. Round 1. Let's do this. Let's get this retarded shit out of the way. This fighter has fought in the UFC, fighting out of Florida. Florida. That's a country in the United States. It's a state in the United States. America.
Fucking moron.
This guy, he's my age. How about that, people? You'd have to specifically know my age in order to even continue guessing right now at this point with that clue. He's my age. From Florida. Oh man. He's had 3 losses. 3 straight up losses. 3 of them. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He probably speaks Portuguese.
Jake,
what is your guess?
Thiago Silva.
You're goddamn right, it is Thiago Silva. Holy shit. That's pretty impressive, Jake. He is from Florida. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Speaks Portuguese and my age exactly. Which you're going to have to look up, people. I'm sorry. I'm not going to break down the fourth wall completely here. I'm Vietnam. I was there, people. That's all I'm going to say. Me and Alan. It's second round. And honestly, Ross, is your mic working? I mean, or are you just?
Can you fucking continue?
Are you just
peasant?
like? I'm just gonna ask: is your mic working, or were you just retarded on that one? Well, I don't know what's going on.
You know, I help out with the Make-A-Wish Foundation too, and I felt little Jakey over here needed his wish to come true. So fucking continue.
I'm just saying, Jake 316 says he just whooped your ass.
And that's the bottom line.
1-0 so far. And no, this is not a work, people. This is a straight up shoot here. And that is the bottom line, as Stone Cold himself would say. Let's talk about round 2 here. Let's do it. This guy Holy shit. He's older than I am. I'll give you that. He's fought in 2 UFC divisions, middleweight and the light heavyweight division. He's had 6 losses in his mixed martial arts record. Orthodox stance, I'll give you that much. His last fight was a loss. But it was a decision, albeit unanimous. This is, you gotta make this shit spike, man. Rise and fall here, and right now we're in a slump. So I'll just say, he recently, before his last fight or whatever, was sporting an eye patch.
Jake,
Ross.
I got it.
Ross answered first.
Come on.
And
Michael
Ross,
the Count Bisping.
Ross, you got
That
it. You were
was
tying it up.
God.
The other guy, Alan,
Hey, Jake,
talent
Jake.
belcher.
Jake, guess what? Fuck you.
And that is proof that this is not a work right now. It is tied up 1-1. It's a total shoot match. You understand, people? 1-1, Jake versus Ross. And yes, that last clue did get a little bit ridiculous, but it was one of those, are you paying attention?
My God.
Are you ready to jump the buzzer?
That was just who has quicker reflexes. That, like, a middleweight and a light heavyweight who's worn an eye patch. That was the biggest gimme ever. That was just who can chime in quicker. That had nothing to do with skill.
You guys ready for round 3? This one might even be even quicker as far as reaction time needed goes. I'm not fucking around anymore, people. I know. Yeah, you can whine and try and pitch a fit, but I'm saying get over it like the Eagles. This dude has fought in 4 different weight classes
Jake.
in the MMA world. Holy shit, Jake already has a guess.
Kenny Florian?
I'm gonna Regis Philburn this moment. Wait, since it's best of 3, if he loses, if he has this wrong, you know what? Fuck it. It is not Kenny Florian, Jake. You do have it wrong. Does Ross get a chance to steal, or how does this work?
2 more clues before I can make a guess. So don't make it fucking obvious, you cocksucker.
All right. Jake, it was not Kenny Florian. This guy's fought in 4 weight classes in his MMA career. He is older than I am. Excuse me. I was just drinking Pure Leaf unsweetened tea. It seems like it was somehow carbonated, even though it's not. I apologize, people. Anyway, this guy also knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I guess. His stance is also orthodox. Older than I am. He's
So
a black
I can't
belt.
chime in now, but I'm not going to.
That's true. It has. We'll give him one more clue here.
Ross.
Oh, shit. Ross is saying he already has a guess. So I'm gonna call it as it is. It is not BJ Penn, Ross. So I guess now Ross can't answer the next 2. I think those are the rules. It's not BJ Penn. It's not Kenny Florian. Fought in 4 different weight classes. Older than me. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. 9. Well, it's back to Jake. Jake is the only one guess for the next 2 hints. 9 losses. Over 6 feet tall. That's 2 hints. Gotta keep it honest now. I think everybody's back on now. Ross and Jake can both answer now. He's an American. He once wore double knee braces like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Jesus. When he wore these double knee braces like Stone Cold Steve Austin, he made an appearance on the MMA Hour
Ross.
with Ariel
Ross,
Hawaii.
Ross.
Hawaii. Ross Hawaii.
I know.
Ross Finkelstein going for the 2 out of 3 answers, which I believe is for the win, right? This would be the...
No, it's
No.
first to 3 points.
Yeah, it is Jason Mayhem Miller. Although when he was on that show, he was Lucky Patrick. But yes, it is Mayhem Miller.
Mayhem Miller is correct. Jason Nicholas Miller. That is a correct answer. Giving Ross 2 points to Jake's 1. 3 points. 3 points. Mission needed. Pinfall for the win here. Congratulations, Ross. And that was good to see Mayhem Miller sporting the double knee braces, Stone Cold Steve Austin style. But even better to see him fix those knees. There's talk about him making a comeback now. I don't know about that one, people. All right. I don't know if we need to see that anymore. I mean, this guy, he blew out like both his knees, he claimed, on the Bisping fight. Remember when that went down? When Bisping had to slap this guy around on Tough. That was weird when you think about it, man. Looking back,
You're going to ask
man,
me some questions.
a lot of weird shit happened.
You're going to ask me a bunch of questions? Is that what you were going to do?
I'm putting together the next goddamn rant. Everybody has to just calm down here. I'm trying not to make it too obvious.
What?
And Alan, thanks for sticking around for this and reffing the fight, dude. You'll let us know if there's any shenanigans or violations of the rules. Okay. I'm getting a note from the producers in my ear here. 1 second. Bass is talking to me. All right, I understand. Okay, people. Word and Street Podcast. Round 3, 4, fourth point. Who gives a shit? It's happening. It's going down. Here we go. If Ross answers this next question or the next question correctly, he will defend his title, retain his belt as the champion. Jake, man, good luck to you. That's all I got to say.
That Bisping point was such shit. Go ahead.
This Ultimate Fighting Championship fighter is also my age. Almost damn near to the day. He has fought in 2 weight class divisions. Like all the rest of everybody else on tonight's trivia, orthodox stance. Also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This dude has had 1 no contest fight. 1. He's from Hawaii. He lost his last fight, which was actually not in the UFC. It was in Bellator. He was unfortunately knocked out.
Ross.
Jake. Oh.
Damn. Ross does chime in first. Ross, what is your guess for the win here?
Jake, I hope you enjoyed your hopes and dreams. Just going down the toilet. The answer is Kendall Grove. Hit my fucking music. And still, the word on the street podcast can't touch as usual week after week after week. And for 9 months, I've held this belt. But you see, I really don't have anything else to say. So, Ramses, get to your bullshit. Let your investor call in, whatever.
You know what, Ross?
I want a rematch next week, damn it. I want a rematch next week, damn it, Ross. Will you grant me the fucking rematch?
The line. I beat you 3 straight.
Grant me the rematch. The Bisping was bullshit. I came up with Grove a split second. Give me the rematch next week, you coward.
Excuse me, gentlemen, before we turn it over to the closing news and who owns the new podcast. He is calling in. I'm being told they won't tell me who he is yet. We'll figure it out in 1 second. But before that, I do have to keep it real on my own goddamn show here. I think it was a little odd how Ross, you chimed in with the correct guess, but did not wait until I confirmed it before cheering yourself, playing your promo music, and making your victory speech. You somehow did not even wait until I confirmed that it was indeed Kendall Grove.
That's a good
Jake,
point.
you somehow knew that.
I didn't
got
play
it
the
right.
music. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck happened. The music just started playing.
I gotta be honest with my audience. I suspect that both of these gentlemen are somehow cheating now at this point. It was just a question of who cheated first, and
Ross, give me my rematch next week. You know I'm the best.
God. Yeah. Okay. Back of the line. We'll take
I'll be
next
back
week off.
next week.
Go chill on my island that I won. A couple of weeks ago when I beat
This
you,
is
Ramses.
bullshit.
And of course, Alan, the ref, was looking the other fucking way the entire time.
It's a
He
slow
didn't
count.
see a damn thing. Yeah. Well, we do have a caller coming into the Warden Street.
This is the mystery investor. This is the man who now has a controlling stake
Oh
in the
no!
Word on the Street podcast.
Okay.
This is the man who has 51% of this entity. You see, Ramses, yes, it is me. It is your bastard son. It is the best Jew in the business, Ross. E before the L, blah, 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 blah. You see, I control this fucking show now.
Ross, I don't believe it. My bastard son.
No, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You see, I control this. I decide what's going on. Next week, I'm taking the week off. I'm not defending the belt. We'll have a battle royal for the belt. Take this shit off the air. I'm done here. Take it off.